It's the Full Court Press with Eric Frandsen and Jason Walker.
Welcome back to the to the show that we're doing right now.
Following the local teams, breaking down the biggest games with in-depth analysis and team interviews.
There's going to be much higher expectations, sense of awareness of what we bring to the table.
Join the show by calling into 435-752-1069 or text 435-339-0321. It's the Full Court Press.
Throws, ends it, yes! Caught! Touchdown, did he get it?
Hello and welcome on into a Monday edition of the Full Court Press. Eric Frandsen, Jason Walker. Talking about the busy weekend. We had basketball on Friday, football on Saturday, bleeding over into Sunday. And we got basketball tonight. Utah State with the big matchup tonight. Santa Clara in town. So we'll try to preview that best that we can. But busy weekend, and we'll try to recap it and figure out what happened and what's going on from here. A couple of accolades handed out and some honors handed out earlier today. Ike Larson, recognized as the Mountain West Freshman of the Week and Defensive Player of the Week for his efforts in Utah State's win over Hawai'i. And had it not been for Ike Larson's play, I don't know that Utah State comes out of there with a victory. For those of you who had a hard time finding a way to watch it or just couldn't stay up late enough to see its conclusion, Utah State built a lead there, but went conservative and opened the door for Hawai'i to come back into it. But the Aggies come out victorious in the end.
Yeah, it was a little frustrating a couple of times, Utah State going conservative, at the end of the first half. And I asked Blake about it after the game in the press conference, and he basically explained his conservative mindset. He basically admitted they were going conservative. Their basically top priority at the end of that first half was don't give the ball back to Hawai'i. Which is interesting because I was like, okay, you're playing well in the first half. Go for it. You're probably not going to give the ball back to Hawai'i. But so instead of maybe going up, probably 27-10. Granted, he did say the wind was against him, so that does make getting a field goal a little harder. But with a couple of timeouts, 57 seconds left, there's enough time to get into shorter field goal range, get a field goal. But
he made it sound like based on the outcome of one play, they decided to just fold up their tent.
Yeah, and the thing is, their first play they ran, like they said, when the first play went bust, it went for -2 yards. They decided to go away from that, which I would have understood if they'd, actually gone for a big play. They went for a cheap little shovel pass play, which granted those who've worked for them, but maybe be a little more aggressive. That's when you're trying to catch a defense off guard, and certainly didn't catch Hawai'i off guard there. They were maybe getting ready for Utah State to go conservative. So try something big. You caught them off guard. You caught them in bad coverages a couple of times in that game to that point. Go for it. But they threw a pass behind the line of scrimmage. They ran a run play. They let the clock run out. And so that's the part that I was, more upset about in terms of being conservative. Toward the end of the game, the last couple of drives, okay, you're supposed to be running the ball. When Cooper Legas took the sack, I wasn't as upset in terms of him not throwing the ball away, because if you throw the ball away, the clock stops.
Right.
And there's certainly a value. I know he ended up losing like 11 yards on the play, which you begin to weigh the pros and cons of stopping the clock versus losing 11 yards and forcing them to use a timeout. But when you say that go conservative in the last couple of minutes, you're supposed to. And at that point, it's just execution. Is the team good enough to run the ball when the other team knows you're going to run it? And Utah State's generally proved that they can't do that. They can't run the ball when the other team knows they're going to run it.
Yeah, and I don't know that I buy this being mutually exclusive, where you can be conservative but still not trying to get first downs and use up clock. It's almost like there's a mentality that we're going to go conservative. We just want to force them to use their timeouts and burn up clock. So we're just going to hand the ball off, middle of the field, take some time off the clock, and that's just it. And I don't know that is necessarily the only way to do that. I mean, getting another first down, another set of downs, that takes more time off the clock than just your initial couple. So I don't know that those are mutually exclusive, and sometimes the way we hear coaches speak, they feel like they are.
It depends. If you're good enough, maybe if you have the right creativity, because the thing is that if a passing play goes wrong, you were either taking a sack or it's an incomplete pass. Those are your best two options if it goes wrong. Or you get spectacularly lucky and you complete it anyway. And throwing incomplete passes can be enormous in terms of helping the other team, because if they still have a timeout on their final drive, that can be the difference in a game, literally. We've seen games come down to the fact the team just didn't have one more timeout to stop the clock because they got a big play. And so you're prioritizing, okay, we can throw the ball and have a decent chance that we'll complete an 8-yard pass and set up 2nd and 2, but there's a risk that we'll throw an incomplete pass, save them a timeout, and then it's 2nd and 10. Or you can say, well, we're pretty sure we can get 3 yards a couple of times. If we're lucky, we'll break an 8-yard run. So there's a real balance to this. Running the risk of a pass play, you can try and run an easier pass play, but those easier pass plays are basically runs anyway.
Right.
So you got to try and balance things and understanding the risks, what it means to not force the other team to burn a timeout, or the reward of we get a first down. Like you said, 1 first down, that's 3 free downs, at least. And so there's a huge reward, but there's also a very real risk there.
Yeah, I don't want to open the show like guns ablaze and being negative on a few things here. I mean, there were a few things that were...
They did win the game.
Yeah, I mean, they did win. I mean, they got some conference awards because of it. But there were a few times that just the end of the first half and then big chunk of the fourth quarter where it was just real conservative. Let's just play safe. Let's just chew up clock. Let's just get out of here. But the door was left open for Hawai'i to be aggressive and try to make something of it and try to come back into the game. They put 17 points on the board in the fourth quarter. And it's almost as if Utah State was like, yeah, we have a lead, but you probably can't catch us. But gosh, they almost did.
Yeah, and I think maybe some of that was the defense getting tired, because you look at the first half, the way Utah State's defense was playing. They were forcing turnovers, or the special teams was, recovering a muffed punt, or they're getting interceptions. There are a couple times they forced back-to-back 3-and-outs. Defense did just about everything to let Utah State have like a 40-point first half, and they had 24. There were 3 times the Utah State had turnovers, or forced turnovers, and got the ball at least on the Hawaii 40. One was on the Hawaii 70, one was on like the 27, and one was on the 40. So 3 times, sometimes deep in Hawaii territory.
Wait, did you just say the Hawaii 70?
Oh, the 7-yard line.
Okay.
The Hawaii 70, if you call it the Hawaii 70, that'd be like the Utah State 30. But. Okay, so the 7-yard line, so you're inside the 10-yard line. Then another time you're inside the 30-yard line, another time you're on the 40. Of those 3 drives the Utah State had, they got 6 points. Like, I mean, they attempted 3 field goals. One of them got blocked.
Right.
So it's like, if that's what the defense is handing you on a silver platter, and you can get 6 points. Like 4
takeaways.
Yeah.
I mean, thank goodness the defense had all the takeaways that they had.
Yeah, the defense had to do it themselves on one time where they just scored the points. Otherwise, Utah State would have had 6 points on 4 turnovers. Who knows what they would have done with the 4th turnover if the offense had taken over, but yeah.
But it was still a pretty solid offensive outing. I mean, Cooper Legas, arguably his best game of his career. 3 touchdowns thrown, 238 yards, no turnovers. Yeah, he took a couple of sacks that he shouldn't have, held onto the ball, didn't see where pressure was coming. Calvin Tyler Jr., again, runs for over 100 yards. He finds the end zone, running the ball and 50 yards receiving. So, I mean, there were some good things on the offense. It was just one of those mixed bag kind of games. Like, yeah, they scored 41. They had 4 takeaways. They did some really nice things. But they also allowed the opponent to score 17 points in the fourth quarter. And were it not for one of those turnovers that was returned for a touchdown, the offense really didn't do anything in that fourth quarter.
Yeah, or even even the second half, because you mentioned Cooper Legas, 238 passing yards, 212 of those were in the first half, and all 3 of his touchdowns. And I think Calvin Tyler, I can't remember what his splits were first half to second half, but I imagine he had a lot more yards in the first half. I'm just going to guess that. I could be very well wrong on that. I should probably look that up. But just generally speaking, the offense did so much better in that first half, which is why it was more weird that at the end of the first half, when the offense was absolutely rolling, that's when they gave up and then just went super conservative. And then in the second half, they had one good drive. They went like 75 yards. That was the offense's only touchdown of the second half. And then the defense, obviously, a touchdown. And then the offense had like one more field goal.
Quick timeout before we continue this on. Just got to note that emergency crews are on the scene of a substantial ruptured gas line, 1400 north, 800 east. So traffic's being diverted away from that area while utility crews make repairs and try to fix it. So if you're in that area or plan on traveling in that area, be advised. It looks like a pretty substantial ruptured gas line, 1400 north, 800 east in Logan. So we just gotten word of that. Not sure how long it's going to take to get it cleared up, but plan on delays or detours in that area. So just be advised if you're in that area.
There's a bus route goes around that area. That's up by that Maverick. Is it the intersection or is it?
It just gives me the intersection, 1400 north, 800 east. So, yeah.
It's a few blocks away from the stadium.
Yeah, it's close to the university. Speaking of the university, and the football team, we found out today they arrived in Logan at 2 p.m. Sunday afternoon. So they're usually Sundays are the days that they're reviewing film and figuring out what their game plan is going to be for the upcoming week. And then they start implementing it early in the week. So they're kind of behind the 8 ball a little bit, preparing for San Jose. But the Spartans, kind of surprisingly in how their game played out against San Diego State over the weekend, that was a team, San Diego State normally doesn't throw the ball much. And they threw the ball around quite a bit and put up more points than we're used to seeing them. They scored 43 points on San Jose Saturday night. They win 43-27. And their quarterback throws for 268 yards. So a little bit of a surprise there for San Diego State. But when we talked to Coach Anderson today, he said it's by and large because San Jose makes it tough to run the ball, and so you're kind of forced to pass. But still, pretty impressive offensive output from San Diego State against San Jose, which has been a pretty stout defensive team.
Yeah, it is interesting that San Diego State would do that well in one game. So maybe there's some that just was just wrong for one day for San Jose State. Hopefully there's a weakness that Blake Anderson's finding on film that they can exploit. Because this is another game where Utah State's probably going to have to score a lot of points to win. The way that Utah State did against Hawaii's passing game, San Jose State passes pretty well. They're at like 270, 280 passing yards a game. So I don't think Utah State's going to stop that. They're going to need turnovers from the defense again, and they're going to need points from the offense.
Yeah, Chevin Cordero, he's a gunslinger. He was at Hawaii before transferring to San Jose, and he's a solid quarterback. A couple texts coming through. Love to hear from you as well on this topic or others. 435-339-0321. First one. This actually came in earlier this morning, 5451. Can the Utes get into the playoffs if they beat the Ducks?
I forget where the Utes were. Were they like 12 or 13 in the last?
Let's see. I'm going to pull up the latest AP and coaches rankings. Utah is 10 in the AP and coaches. Last week in the college football playoff poll, let's see, where were they? I don't have that offhand, so
I'm gonna pull it up real quick. They were 13th.
So I think it's a long shot. I mean, they have 2 losses, so no. I don't think they make the playoffs.
Yeah, there's never...
It doesn't matter what happens. They got 2 losses. Too many good teams ahead of them with fewer or no losses.
Yeah, pretty much everyone in front of them would have to lose 1 or 2 games. Several of them would have to lose 2 games. Because, yeah, there's never been a 2-loss team in the college football playoff that I'm aware of. I saw somebody earlier said there's never been one. That sounded about right. I haven't done that research myself, but I mean, a 2-loss Utah team getting in over a 2-loss Alabama or a 2-loss LSU, no.
Yeah.
Like Alabama at 2 losses has been effectively eliminated, much less Utah,
right?
Whose best game is 8-1 Oregon, but that's a lot. Oregon's at number 6. If Utah beat Georgia, if they played Georgia next week for some reason and beat them like 60-0, they'd probably still not get in.
Now Oregon took a dive after losing to Washington. They fell 6 spots in the AP, 7 in the coaches, but there's just too much ground between Utah and the other teams that are currently in that playoff position. I just don't see it.
Yeah, Utah. Really, this would have been their year, you know. Some of the teams that were ahead of them earlier in the year in the playoff rankings lost. But Utah lost as well.
While we're talking polls, Boise State getting 5 points in the AP Top 25 poll. Air Force and Boise State both getting 5 in the coaches poll. So getting some recognition in those polls. But how about UConn? I mean, holy cow. They just went and beat Liberty, who was a ranked team. Yeah, this UConn team is like bowl eligible.
They are bowl eligible. I was saying they're going to get bowl eligible off beating Army, or projecting they had certainly a decent chance to do so, and then they went out and became bowl eligible a week early. And so, yeah, UConn is a lot better than we were expecting. Granted, if Utah State had met expectations this year, they probably would have beaten them a little better than the 34-20 still, even with UConn being 6-5 now, I believe. But yeah, it goes to show that UConn was indeed a little better than we were expecting. It's just Utah State was also a little worse than we were expecting. So it ended up being a decently close game.
6-5-4-3. I am dismayed at the number of average to poor teams in this conference this year. What needs to be done for this to change? If a team becomes bowl eligible with most of their wins against bad teams, why should fans be excited about that?
It's more football, really. That's what it is. You get more football, it continues a streak. I mean, when Blake Anderson keeps talking about it, it seems like he wants that experience for his players, especially his seniors. And obviously, he in his press conference today, he mentioned keep that streak going. You know, it's a thing that programs love to be able to say to recruits, we've been to a bowl game X number of years in a row. Or for Utah State, it's like, I forget what the exact number, I don't know, like 9 times in 10 years. Whatever, I don't have the exact number on top of my head, but something like that where you can say to recruits, we've been to this many bowl games. Ignore the fact that you lost half of those bowl games, or maybe you didn't deserve to be in a bowl game that year. You were in a bowl game, and you can say it.
Well, and really, it serves as a reward to your upperclassmen, and it also serves as extra practices and extra development for your underclassmen. So going to a bowl game is a huge benefit for most institutions. Yet sometimes going to a bowl game can be expensive, and it's a net loss financially, depending on where you go and what the travel concerns are, and if you can't sell tickets for your own fans. But for your football program, it's almost always a net benefit. Almost always.
Yeah.
We can look at it and kind of laugh at, here's celebration of mediocrity. If you go 6-6 and you get rewarded for going to a bowl game. But it does help a program in its development and a coaching staff to spend more time and have more practices, especially with their younger players.
Yeah, so there is a benefit to it. Both inside the program and in recruiting. So I looked up how many it is for Utah State. It's 9 times out of the last 11 years. If they go to one this year, it'll be 10 times in the last 12, if I did my counting right. Yeah, and it doesn't matter that, let's see, how many of these years? Let's see, one year they were 7-6, they lost a bowl game, went 6-7, lost a bowl game, went 6-7, lost a bowl game, were 7-6. Like 4 times you were a mediocre team, and heck, each one of those times they lost the bowl game. So, you go to 9 bowl games in 11 years, you lost 4 of them, but you can say, hey, we went. You don't have to include that context when you say we went to 9 bowl games in 11 years.
Right. At least it illustrates that you're a good enough program that you're getting those opportunities to go bowling.
Yeah, and you're usually not going to be a losing team. Usually.
I
mean, 2 of those, they were 6-7. By the
because
end,
of
that was
the bowl
after
result.
the bowl game.
Yeah.
So, this year, if you say, hey, we went to a bowl game in 2022, we won't have to mention that if this team goes to a bowl game, they're probably going to go 6-7 on the year. But
it depends on which other 6-6 team they line up against.
Yeah, but they've not done very well against teams above 500 this year.
435-339-0321. More of your texts coming in. We'll get to those in just a moment. Just another reminder that emergency crews are on the scene. There's a substantial ruptured gas line at 1400 North, 800 East in Logan. Traffic is being diverted in that area. So if you plan to be driving in that area, take a different route. Give yourself more time. Again, 1400 North, 800 East. Crews are on the scene while they're trying to make some repairs. So just be aware of that in your travel on the northeast side of Logan. More of our reactions to the weekend, a busy one, as well as discussion about Utah State men's basketball coming up next here on the Full Court Press.
It's that first kiss, that moment in time.
Over the last few years, we have expanded the store to create one of the largest engagement selections in northern Utah. In addition to our goldsmith, we now have a design team that creates, casts, and brings to life your one-of-a-kind ring right here in our store, all for one common goal, to make it special for you. If you haven't been in yet, come see what makes us so special.
Jarrett's fine jewelry. Make it special, make it Jarrett's.
It's game time, and you're in the locker room ready to take the field. But suddenly, you notice a player you don't recognize. He's wearing your team's jersey, and he even knows your name. But you've never seen him before now. Would you trust this stranger with your team's playbook? That's exactly how phishing scams work. And the first quarter of 2022 saw the highest volume of phishing attacks ever recorded. Protect your business with the Les Olson Security Suite from Les Olson IT. Learn more at lesolson.com.
You have to see it to believe it. The new Three Peaks Medical Plaza is Cache Valley's newest and most up-to-date medical facility. Cache Valley Ear, Nose, and Throat, the Allergy Clinic, and the Hearing Aid Center are now located in the Three Peaks Medical Plaza in North Logan. The entire staff and Drs. Benyon, Blotter, and Robinette look forward to helping you and your family at this state-of-the-art medical facility. Cache Valley Ear, Nose, and Throat is now located in Providence and Three Peaks Medical Plaza, 2245 North 400 East in North Logan. Go to CacheValleyENT.com for details. Most insurance products, including SelectMed, are accepted.
This is Nate Lamson with Valley Office Systems, your home team when local matters. Valley Office Systems is your local provider for all things office, copiers, printers, furniture, and document management. Proudly serving Cache Valley since 2007. Visit valleyofficesystems.com.
It's the Full Court Press with Eric Frandsen and Jason Walker.
Valvoline Instant Oil Change is open 7 days a week. 695 North Main in Logan. Quick, clean, easy, how it should be when it comes to getting your oil changed. So stop in today. They also have Valvoline Synthetic and Valvoline Max Life Oil. Good for when it's getting cooler weather out there. So Utah State with the still a solid victory. A victory is a victory, right? A win is a win. And they did it on the road, which is not easy to do at Hawai'i. In an aggressive first half offensively, solid effort defensively. Things started to change in the second half, slowed down offensively, and opened the door for Hawai'i in that fourth quarter particularly. They scored 17 points. Utah State only scored 7, but that came on a pick 6 from Mike Larson. who incidentally received the Mountain West Conference Defensive Player of the Year and Freshman of the Week, and Freshman of the Week honors today.
Do they have a Freshman of the Year?
I think they do.
If they do, it should go to Ike Larson. I'll see who else is. I mean, there's probably
making
somebody
his
else.
Case.
Because he's won Freshman of the Week twice now.
It's true.
So I don't know who else you'd give it to.
I want to get back to another part of the question from 6543 that was asked about the. It says dismayed at the number of average to poor teams in this conference this year. Now, looking at the standings. Overall standings, just overall win-loss record, I should say. Boise State, Wyoming, and Air Force are all at 7-3 with 2 more games to be played. Fresno State, San Diego State are at 6-4. San Jose is at 6-3. So you already have 6 teams bowl eligible, with 1 more knocking on the door with Utah State. And there's a chance that you might have a 9-win team, or at least a couple of 9-win teams here in the conference. I don't know that I'd say that it's a bad year for the Mountain West. You don't have a top 25 team, which is pretty commonplace, so I will grant that. But I don't know that I'd say it's overall a down year for the Mountain West. It's not a great year, but it's not a totally down year.
I think the issue is that for a lot of those teams that are not getting bowl eligible, they're beating up on some of the bad teams in the conferences. And the Mountain West had a bad non-conference year.
That's true.
And that's the issue, is that they look good when you just look at win totals. But really, that's just showing the gap between the top and the bottom of the Mountain West. In general, the Mountain West, you can say they have a bad year because in the only metric we have between conferences, non-conference play, the Mountain West looked bad. Now, could they redeem themselves come bowl season? That's possible. But if it's anything like the non-conference schedule, might be a rough bowl year for the Mountain West, even if they get a bunch of, they will get a bunch of teams in bowl games, at least that are bowl eligible, but they might lose them all, or most of them.
Well, and there's I didn't think about the conference championship game, but there's a chance that we could have a 10-win team out of the conference this year.
Yeah.
The 2 of the regular season and the conference championship game leading into the bowl game, gosh, you could even get to 11. So it's possible. So, but the other point is, too, that there's several teams here that are feasting on some bad programs. Yes, Colorado State, New Mexico, Hawaii, Nevada, all of them bad. All of them have only won 2 games each all year. Now, it's commonplace you might have 1, maybe 2 teams that have struggled, but you've got 4. That is a little bit uncommon for the Mountain West to have that many teams play so poorly to this date in the regular season.
Yeah, because you look at Boise State. They have 1 win this season that isn't against somebody in the Mountain West. And it's Tennessee Martin, a non-major school. So the non-Mountain West teams they've played, they have a loss against Oregon State, a win against an FCS team, a loss to UTEP, and a loss to BYU. So yeah, they go 10 wins. If they win this week, next week, get them to 9, win a bowl game. I guess include a championship game. If they win the championship game, that's 10 wins. Prior to bowl season. 9 of those 10 wins are against the Mountain West. So you're just kind of feasting on a mediocre Mountain West. So that's why I'd still lean towards the Mountain West is not good this year. They're going to have some teams with good win totals, but it's very much just, eating all the bad teams.
Well, I guess that's true. Getting to the 6543, this made it the number of average to poor teams. So I think you're right. I think that's probably a fair assessment to say that there are a lot of average teams, and there definitely are, you got some bottom feeders down there, which not common to have that many teams struggle. Yeah. And what can you do about it? Yeah, I don't know.
You just need a new season, because last year the Mountain West had a really good year. They were good last year.
Yeah.
Had a lot of non-conference wins against Power 5 conferences, bowl wins, whatnot. They had a good year last year. This year, it's just that way. And so you got to move on. And last year, the Pac-12 had a really bad year. This year, they're having a much better year.
Yeah.
They got Oregon, Utah, USC all in the top 25. At least I don't think USC's dropped out.
Yeah, they're still there.
Yeah, so they're having a much better year. They're having a rebound. So these things can flip year to year for seemingly no reason. I mean, you could break it down and find every single reason, and we could probably do that for the Mountain West or the Pac-12. But it just kind of happens. Coaching changes, transfers, surprise teams, things like that.
Yeah, Pac-12 has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in the AP top 25.
Yeah, so they're doing just fine. A year after the Mountain West was basically a better conference than the Pac-12 last year.
Yeah.
But now, obviously, not anywhere close.
Well, and next year will be interesting, too, because it'll be a new scheduling format, no divisions, and so that will be kind of interesting to see how it plays out. If you were to look at, okay, if we didn't have divisions today, who would go to the Mountain West Conference Championship game? Would it be any different than if we did have divisions? And right now, Boise is clearly there, but on the other side, Fresno State would represent the West, but would they be ahead of Wyoming? So that's where I think it would be close, because both Fresno and Wyoming are 5-1 in conference play.
Yeah, well, with the way it's set up, it would depend on Boise State plays Wyoming. Yet still, they haven't done that yet. So, say Boise State beats Wyoming, then get rid of divisions, and it's probably still Boise State, Fresno State. That's why I never really had too much of a problem with the divisions thing, because it had a benefit in scheduling, consistency, and kind of keep those rivalries together in some cases. I don't have a problem with divisions going away. I have no attachment to them because there is the positive of saying, in the case where the two best teams are in the one division, you don't want to ruin that. Just let them play the championship game. So, I'm not exactly heated over the topic of divisions because they were never a problem, and I'm not attached enough to care.
Right. I think when we heard the announcement, we went back and tracked it, and there I think there was 2, maybe 3 instances in the entire history of divisions in the Mountain West that you would have had one of those teams that would have been missed.
Yeah.
Not playing. So it's trying to be played off like, oh, it's commonplace, like the top 2 teams aren't always playing. Not actually true. Usually the best teams are from both divisions.
Yeah. And it happens often enough that it's a reason enough to get rid of divisions because with the divisions, there's not enough positive. It's why I'm not attached to it. Like, what positives do divisions really bring? It makes scheduling a little easier.
Yeah.
But it doesn't really matter that much. So divisions were convenient. They didn't cause a ton of problems, but you get rid of them. You get rid of the small problem that was present, and then you just kind of deal with the scheduling anyway.
All right, a couple more texts coming through. 7854. How bad does that Weber State loss look now? Will keep USU out of a bowl game.
See, I don't know what random criteria they use if a team's bowl eligible and then they, if there aren't enough bowl games, like what hairs are we splitting to keep one team out of a bowl game, what not? And I don't know if how good the team is really like the number one factor. Because bowls are there to make money.
Yeah. It's about how many will it be interesting on television? Can you sell tickets to the arena where the bowl game is being held? Will you travel well? Those are the most important criteria. Not about who were your losses or victories over. Did you lose to an FCS school?
Yeah.
It's will you sell tickets? Will you get eyeballs on this game?
Yeah. Now, maybe 7854 is just saying the fact that we didn't win this game.
Yeah.
If they'd won, it may very well keep them out because of that. Maybe that's where he's going at there.
But I'm equally frustrated by, yes, that is a really bad loss to lose to a lower division team and in the manner in which they lost. But I'm equally frustrated with the UNLV loss because UNLV has not sustained what they started, and so they haven't looked like nearly quite the team like Utah State made them out to be when they were here in Logan.
I don't know. There's probably no loss I'll ever be more frustrated by than losing to Weber State. Maybe San Jose State in basketball a few years back, but no, you lose to an FCS team is no excuse. You shouldn't have lost. You overlooked them.
True.
You played down. You played
how
stupid.
They lost.
Yeah, like there was no reason for that. There is no excuse. No injuries. No nothing. No rusty. No. Oh, the scheme didn't work, or Weber State's so good. No, you lost. You shouldn't have lost. Period. End of story. No excuses. Shut up. You should have won that game by 25 points.
You got pushed around the field like you didn't even belong there.
And you lost it by 28. So, and in the end, it may very well be the thing that keeps Utah State out of a bowl game, because I'm not confident Utah State wins against San Jose State or Boise State.
No, me neither.
You put a gun to my head, and I say Utah State's not going bowling. Like, my prediction at this point is they will end the season 5-7. They have a chance to go bowling, a decent chance, but I'm not going to predict that.
So last week we were looking ahead and using the ESPN matchup predictor and looking to see what those what percentages they gave the Aggies against Hawaii, San Jose, and Boise. And I believe it was 67% in favor of USU at Hawaii, 33% against San Jose, and 11% against Boise State. Well, the game this Saturday has moved up to 39% for USU. And that's probably just because San Jose lost last week and the Aggies didn't.
The data gets shifted around. One team played a little worse, so I don't know exactly what factors they throw in there, but I imagine the whole season stats get pumped in there.
Yeah, but Utah State and Boise State, that dropped. It's down to 9.1.
Yeah. And here's the thing, when we're talking about bowls, I put this in my Monday cooldown. I actually was looking at as many bowl projections as I could find. Last week I found 5 or 6. I talked about it on the show. Well, this week I got basically 10. 9 different outlets. ESPN had 2 writers in their article. Each was giving their bowl projection. So comes out to 10. 1 out of 10 bowl projections has Utah State even playing. And it was college football. What was it?
Someone obscure.
College Football Network. They predict Utah State facing BYU in the Hawaii Bowl.
Oh, gosh.
But yeah, all the rest of them just don't think the Utah State's going to play in a bowl game. And I don't know if they're going strictly based off of these teams are bowl eligible, but considering some of these people have probably been doing bowl projections for longer than there have been enough bowl eligible teams, I think it's just they don't believe Utah State will go to a bowl game. And I don't blame them.
Right, it's a tough path. It's a really tough path considering the last 2 games on the schedule. 2197, kind of on this topic. Sorry, this team does not deserve a bowl game unless they win the next 2. We should beat the Hosers. San Jose Hosers. We have their number. Boise, however, will roll up 500 yards rushing against us.
San Jose State might roll up 500 yards passing against Utah State.
San Jose, yeah, you might say we have their number, but they are a difficult opponent. Coach Anderson just couldn't have enough praise for their defensive front, and that's what makes me really worried about the game Saturday for USU.
Yeah, I think Hawaii came into the game against Utah State with, I think, 9 sacks in the season is the number I saw. Or I think I overheard it when they were talking about it on the broadcast. And how many sacks did Hawaii have? 4 or 5?
At least 4. They may have had 5.
You increase by that much, 9 sacks on the season, and you get 4 in a game. How do you allow a team that's that inept at pass rushing for an entire season just, paint Cooper Lega's jersey green? How on earth do you let that happen?
Yeah, and Cooper today admitted, some of those were on him.
Yeah,
and it's true. I mean, you watch the game, and you're like, Cooper, you just got to throw that away.
Yeah, that's still part of the offense.
But still.
It's happening.
They're letting them through.
Yeah, whoever's fault it is, you let a team that had 9 sacks on the year get 4 on you. Whoever's fault it is, it still happened. And you let it happen. A team that bad at pass rushing became elite against you.
8968, before we head out to break. I had a real hard time even trying to hear the end of the game. Just when it counted, The station airing the game switched the feed to the Utah postgame show. Oh my gosh, that's embarrassing. And the other feed didn't work that well. I missed the end of the game, very displeased to say the least. We need to tell the athletic director to put an end to this BS. Also, we have played enough bad teams to be bowl eligible.
Yeah, we played enough bad teams to be bowl eligible. Unfortunately, didn't beat enough of those teams.
Yes.
Namely one.
That's the caveat. You gotta beat them. Can't just play them. You got to beat them.
Yeah.
All right, more of your texts coming through, more reactions as well. 435-339-0321 here on the Full Court Press. Just another reminder, gas rupture, gas leak at 1400 North, 800 East. That road area is being shut down. Emergency crews are there redirecting traffic as repair crews are on the scene trying to fix the issue. We'll update you if we get any more details about that opening up, but plan on it being shut down for a little while. It's 1400 North, 800 East in Logan.
Hey, Aggie fans! Looking for the best burger in town? Bring the family to Prodigy Brewing and try out our signature Prodigy Supreme Burger or a wood-fired pizza. Need a smaller plate for the kids? Our kids menu has you covered. Whether you are out with the family or just want to catch the Aggies game with friends, Prodigy Brewing is the place to be in Cache Valley, located at 25 West Center Street in beautiful downtown Logan.
When it comes to home care, it's important to know you have a choice. If you or a loved one is in need of hospice or home health services, remember that Primrose Home Care and Hospice believes in treating the patient, not the problem. We work directly with you and your doctor to create a health plan that's catered to your needs. Our team is devoted to providing options in the freedom and safety of your own home. Visit us at primrosecare.com or call to schedule a free consultation. Primrose Home Care and Hospice, your local hospice and home health provider since 2006.
Clean it up and get it out before the snow flies. Don't wait another winter. Let DD Auto and Salvage pay you for that junk vehicle. DD Auto and Salvage makes it so easy and fast to get rid of your junker vehicles by paying you the most money possible. Pickup is available. If you have metal, DD Auto and Salvage in Logan wants to pay you today. Call 787-1204.
That's 787-1204 today.
See store for details.
Alpine Home Medical has been around for over 25 years. Can you believe that? Hi, I'm Jay Broadbent. What keeps us coming to work every day? We're passionate about caring for you. From home and bathroom safety to transportation, mobility, recovery, oxygen, sleep, and more, come into any of our 10 locations today and let us take care of you.
Alpine Home Medical, we bring wellness home.
Visit us at alpinehomemedical.com.
This is Zach with HSA Depot. Christmas is nearly here. Make sure you be merry and bright by using your pre-tax funds on your medical needs. We know your regular holiday budget is disappearing quick, so instead, save money by using your pre-tax income to buy qualifying medical supplies. HSA Depot carries hundreds of unique and dashing eligible products to help you conquer your healthcare. Come to HSA Depot next to Sally Beauty Supply and see how much you can save this holiday season. HSA Depot, 5-star review.
The Aggies, Jazz, high schools, even the Pee Wee's T-ball team. It's the Full Court Press on Sports Talk Radio, The Fan.
Cache Food Pantry, they could use your help this holiday season, so feel free to stop by, donate food. You could even donate some of those eggs if you've got the backyard chickens. They've got the facilities to store them properly. But the food pantry can also stretch $1 a lot more than you or I can. So cash donations also really encouraged. You can do that in person at the food pantry. You can make a donation on their website, or you can even use Venmo at cash-pantry on Venmo to make a financial donation to the Cache Community Food Pantry. Also news this week that Angie's restaurant is going to be stepping up and helping out more with their donations to the Cache Community Food Pantry. Really cool story there. But you can help out too and help us at the Fan and all of us here at the Cache Valley Media Group helping the Cache Food Pantry this holiday season. So let's a couple other things to get into here with Utah State football. Again, if you want to weigh in, love to hear your thoughts on the game over the weekend. 435-339-0321 and 5338 texting in. Adios, Gervin Hall Jr. We hardly knew ye.
Yeah, that was some news that we were kind of expecting to hear. It was on my list of questions to ask. Well, Eric, you ended up asking the question because nobody else was. It was kind of weird where I thought it might be one of the first questions asked because it was announced on the broadcast that Gervin Hall had been suspended again. And even after like that Monday press conference preceding the Hawaii game, Anderson talked about how Gervin Hall, he'd handled the suspension like a man. He seemed like he was coming back.
He was really proud of how he was handling the suspension. It was glowing praise.
Yeah.
About, even though somebody was suspended, how it's all going. It was like, well, it was kind of news that he was suspended. I don't think a lot of us realized that he was suspended for the New Mexico game. But then he's just, all this positive talk about Gervin Hall and how he's doing and how he's overcoming and working through the issues. Then he's not there for the game, and we hear on the broadcast he was suspended for a second game. And so then we're like, oh, what's the roster? Somebody's like, oh, he's not on the roster.
Yeah, I saw that on Twitter. I double-checked on the roster myself, and Gervin Hall's not on the roster. And so asked her in the press conference, and he basically said that he's, like, I don't know, the way he said it was kind of funny, but basically no longer on the roster or no longer available. Seems like there is a path to him coming back, but I don't think Anderson's expecting that. So for all intents and purposes, Gervin Hall is just not on the team and probably will not play again this season.
Yeah, so it kind of came out of left field.
Yeah, just the fact that he's suspended for a game, seemed like he was coming back, whatever, suspended again, off the team. Bam.
Yeah.
And
strange week to hear a coach talk positive about his player and how he's handling it, to all of a sudden, he's off the team.
Yeah.
So I don't know what happened, but there's certainly, being suspended or kicked off the team, it's, those are not small and simple things that you do to get that kind of a punishment.
Yeah.
So
going to be either probably just hopefully it's just a team rules violation, because if it's something beyond that, then it probably reaches into the realm of criminality.
But we don't know.
But it's very possible this is just a team rules thing. And that would be my guess, is he just violated team rules, and then there was just a rift between him and the coaches after that, and it probably... But again, that's all speculation.
But what it did do is open up more playing time for Ike Larson. And, boy, what a blessing in disguise to have that happen. I guess I shouldn't say a blessing in disguise. I mean, here's a guy who's progressively been doing more and more for Utah State. He went from somebody who helped out a little bit on special teams to now he's a star. And it happened within a short couple of weeks. And he was making plays, and he kind of got hurt. Kind of got scaled back a little bit, but as he's been getting healthier and as positions have opened up, he's taking advantage of it. Kudos to him. I mean, that kid's a gamer.
Yeah, this is a kid who's poised to be a really good safety. I was about to say he's going to be a really good safety for 3 years, but if he's really, really good, he may not stay here for 3 years. And I don't mean transferring somewhere else. He may end up going to the next level before his time is up. A transfer is technically possible. You always do have to worry about if a player is playing really well. Even if he is the local kid, he may want to move on. But Utah State's produced enough defensive backs that Ike Larson may feel very comfortable playing out his time here and then being comfortable that Utah State could put him in the NFL.
Yeah. I mean, Utah State does have a history of sending guys to the NFL at that position.
Yeah.
A number of guys.
Yeah. Defensively, Utah State has done very well putting guys in the NFL. So, and him being hometown, I'm more confident that he won't transfer, even as a redshirt freshman. But yeah, he could be an All-Mountain West, multiple-time All-Mountain West, but don't want to get too ahead of ourselves. But that's the potential we're talking about here, the way he's playing so far, how dynamic he is all over the field.
435-339-0321 if you want to weigh in. A couple more texts coming through. 9315. I was so frustrated with the conservative play from the end of the second quarter on. I would much rather we lose the game with us trying to play to win than play to lose. I think I'd still take the W overall. That's the most important thing.
Yeah, you do. But you're always just frustrated when you see a team nearly blow it. Obviously, you're relieved that they didn't, but it's like, why did you let that happen? So there's that frustration.
4512, how do we get Aggie games back on 610 or another local station? 1280 is always fuzzy if I can get it at all. It's a good question. Hopefully a change in athletic director solves some of that.
Lots of letters to Utah State.
Yes. And to the president, frankly, would be great. It's a way to go. 2197, texting in. How many transfers have now left or been kicked off the team this year? Recruiting failure with his staff. I know Ron
just decided to transfer, and he seems
tight end.
He still seems very friendly with the coaching staff. I think he just was expecting more playing time, didn't get it, and felt like he would be better served because he was tweeting in support of Blake during the small, I don't know if I want to call it a scandal, but scandal being the operative word from a couple weeks back. Ron tweeted out in defense of Anderson.
Yeah, he's retweeted a number of things that are positive and connected to Utah State.
Yeah, so I wouldn't consider that a negative transfer. It's just it didn't work out. You move on. A lot of those transfers happen.
Makakona, he just kind of disappeared. I don't know if that's because Robert Briggs appeared to be a better runner and more consistent, and he just lost his job to somebody who was more effective.
Yeah, seems to be that way. It's just, with the nature of transfers, it's really hard to try and speculate why people are leaving. It's just really hard to do.
More texts coming in. We'll get to those. We do need to take another quick timeout here on the Full Court Press.
This is Dustin with Valvoline Instant Oil Change in Logan. Whatever you do, don't forget to change the oil in your car. My team at Valvoline Instant Oil Change will get you in and out quickly. Stay in your car and relax, all while your car is being serviced by trained professionals. Valvoline Instant Oil Change, 695 North Main in Logan, across from Aggies.
Valvoline Instant Oil Change. Service you can see. Experts you can trust.
The Elements Restaurant is serving a plated Thanksgiving dinner this year with all the holiday classics. Herb roasted turkey with a sage turkey gravy, garlic whipped potatoes and whipped sweet potatoes, traditional cornbread stuffing, and delicious warm rolls. And for dessert, choose between pumpkin pie, pecan pie, or apple galette. Let the Elements serve your family a delicious Thanksgiving feast while you spend the day enjoying family and friends. Prime times fill up quickly. Reserve online today at theelementsrestaurant.com or call 750-5171.
It's engagement season. Time to find the perfect ring. S.E. Needham Jewelers is known for beautifully cut diamonds at excellent prices. Guys, the sparkle is what matters most in the diamond you give your sweetheart. Our diamonds stand apart from those of other stores. Come view our diamonds under magnification. Select a diamond that fits your budget and then have it mounted in a ring that she'll love. Remember, you get S.E. Needham quality at internet pricing. Open Monday through Saturday 10 to 7, where Utah gets engaged. S.E. Needham Jewelers, middle of the block at the sign of the clock.
Hi, this is James with White Pine Funerals. We're excited to host our annual holiday concert featuring a choir and musical ensemble by Jay Richards. All are welcome to attend free of charge. We extend a special invitation to anyone who is missing a loved one this holiday season. Food donations are encouraged at the door for the Cash Food Pantry. Back-to-back performances will take place at White Pine on Thursday, December 1st at 7 p.m. and 8:30 p.m. That's Thursday, December 1st at 7 p.m. or 8:30 p.m.
They never could play it, but they sure can talk about it. Eric Frandsen and Jason Walker on the Full Court Press.
Hey, save up to $16 on a pair of Rain-X silicone wiper blades or take the $10 instant rebate on a set of Napa Exact Fit wiper blades at Napa Auto Parts, and a lot of other things you can get there in store to get you ready for winter and colder weather. 5 locations between Preston and Providence. That's Napa Auto Parts. And they sponsor the Dan Patrick Above the Noise segment coming up here in about a minute and a half here on the Full Court Press. A couple more texts we wanted to get to before the top of the hour. 9315 adding, I hope Ike Larson has a starting role from here on, as he is one of USU's best players on defense that we've had for a long time.
Yeah, it really seems to remind a little bit of Shaq Bond. As I think about it, not just, Ike Larson obviously have 4 interceptions, but he's also active in the backfield, and Shaq Bond did that at times, where he's getting in there making sacks or tackles for loss. just big plays all around the field, which you don't always get from safeties, partly because, sometimes they're playing in coverage, but if they're playing in an aggressive system or if they're versatile enough, defensive coordinators will feel free to use them in different ways, which is where they can then be making a lot of these big plays.
Right, because that pressure comes from unexpected places. 5-3-3-8. Can the fourth quarter offense be labeled a prevent offense?
Sometimes it's supposed to be a prevent offense. Like I said, that last drive of the 4-minute drill is a prevent offense. But you're not supposed to run it for the entire fourth quarter.
We got more to get to about recapping the weekend that was. We've got updated Mountain West standings. Utah State men's basketball with a big showdown tonight with Santa Clara coming into town. So we'll preview what we know about them. Mountain West basketball standings. New poll is out. San Diego State has gone up. Wyoming is not getting any votes anymore. We'll tell you why. And also update you on what's going on with the women's basketball and their games as well. So that's all coming up here on the Full Court Press. Love to hear from you. 435-339-0321 to chime in on our Full Court Press text line. And don't forget, stay away from 1400 North, 800 East for a little while.
I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise. When you have a team competing for a Super Bowl, having an elite quarterback is one of the bigger advantages an NFL team could get. That's what makes teams like Kansas City and Buffalo so difficult to beat. Because no matter how many mistakes a team can make, you're never out of it with a quarterback who can make a difference. But elite quarterbacks aren't always available, and that forces other competing teams to get creative. The Minnesota Vikings have done that. The Vikes are now 8-1 after the big win in Buffalo Sunday. The team has elite weapons in Justin Jefferson and Dalvin Cook, and a defense that features Eddie Kendricks, Za'Darius Smith, and Harrison Smith. Although Kirk Cousins has impressed this season, he's not going to go punch for punch with other elite quarterbacks. But with a roster filled with difference makers at impactful positions, Minnesota is proof. Having an elite quarterback isn't always a necessity to compete. Just ask the Buffalo Bills. I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise.